The parliamentary committee system is an important cog in the parliamentary procedure that is present here in Sri Lanka. Now, it is said that the committees usually handle about 70% of the workload of Parliament, as the work is delegated in order to make sure that the work is done with reasonable care and responsibility. The committees generally handle the specialized work of Parliament. A benefit of the committee system is that it saves floor time and also rescues the House from getting lost in detail. The procedure for special purpose committee, general rules for committees, and resignation or removal of chairs of committees can be found in the standing orders. The report of these committees can be accessed at www.parliament.lk. Now, under the standing orders, the committee system comprises of the following. Firstly, consultative committees. The function of a consultative committee is to inquire into the report on matters that are referred to it, such as proposals for legislation, supplementary or other estimates, statements of expenditure, annual reports, or papers. Consultative committees have the power to initiate a bill or motion through the chairperson. Annual reports and accounts of various departments under each ministry, which are presented in Parliament by the Auditor General, are immediately referred to the respective consultative committee. Appointment and composition of this committee. The Committee of Selection at the commencement of each session of Parliament appoints a number of consultative committees corresponding to the number of ministers of Cabinet. The ministers in charge of subjects are ex officio chairmen of these committees. The committees comprise of the Cabinet Minister in charge of the relevant subject as chairperson, State Minister, Deputy Minister, and 5 other members of Parliament nominated by the Committee of Selection. Let's now take a look at the legislative standing committees. The duty of a standing committee is limited to the consideration of bills referred to it by Parliament. In order to carry out this task, the committee has the power to send for persons, papers, and records. The procedure followed is the same as that in the Committee of the Whole Parliament. Appointment and composition of the legislative standing committees. At the commencement of each session of Parliament, the Committee of Selection appoints the members. The committee members consist of the Deputy Speaker as the Chair, the Deputy Chairperson of committees, and 10 other members nominated by the Committee of Selection. Committees for Special Purposes is the third committee that we will be discussing, consisting of the Committees on Selection, on Public Accounts, on Public Enterprise, on Privileges, and on Public Petition, and the House Committee. The Committee of Standing Order, the Business Committee, the High Posts Committee, and the Disciplinary Committee. We will now take a look at the Committee of Selection. This committee is appointed at the commencement of each session of Parliament to consider the number, functions, and constitution of the consultative committees and the legislative standing committees. This committee also nominates the members who are to serve in the committees for special purposes. The composition of this committee. This committee includes the Speaker as chairman and 12 members, which shall include the leaders of all political parties or their nominees to be nominated by Parliament at the commencement of each session. Moving on to the House Committee. This committee deals with and advises on all matters connected with the comfort and convenience of members. On the composition of this committee, the Speaker acts as the chairman, and 9 members nominated by the Committee of Selection will constitute the rest of the committee. The Committee on Standing Orders is the next committee that we will be looking into. The main objective of this committee is to consider matters of procedure and conducive business of Parliament and to recommend any amendments to the standing orders. Composition of this committee, it comprises of the Speaker, the Deputy Speaker, the Deputy Chairman of committees, and 6 other members nominated by the Committee of Selection. The Committee on Parliamentary Business. The main function of this committee is to consider and decide on the time allocation for the discussions of business of Parliament and any other matters as the Speaker, in consultation with the Leader of the House of Parliament, refers to the committee. The composition of this committee, it includes the Speaker as the chairman, again, the Deputy Speaker, the Deputy Chairperson of committees, the Leader of the House of Parliament, the Leader of the Opposition in Parliament, the Chief Government Whip, the Chief Opposition Whip, and 8 other members to be nominated by the Committee of Selection. The Committee on Public Accounts, or COPA. This is a financial committee. It examines the accounts showing the appropriation of sums granted by Parliament to meet the public expenditure and such other accounts laid before Parliament as the committee may think fit with the assistance of the Auditor General. Now, this committee has the power to summon and question any person and to call for records or other documents and to have access to stores and property. This committee consists of 16 members nominated by the Committee of Selection. Up next is the Committee on Public Enterprise, or COPE. This is a financial committee. It examines the accounts of public corporations, institutions, funded wholly or in part by the government, and of any business or any other undertaking vested under any written law in the government laid before Parliament, of course with the assistance of the Auditor General. This committee has the power to summon and question any person and to call for records or other documents and to have access to stores and property, much like COPA. The composition of this committee, there are 16 members nominated by the Committee of Selection. The Committee on Public Finance. Now, it shall be the duty of the Committee on Public Finance to examine A. the collection of revenue under Article 148 of the Constitution, B. the payment from the Consolidated Fund, C. the utilization of public funds for specified purposes by law, and D. the application of public funds, and E. the recessions of appropriations contained in the Appropriations Act for the current year, the transfer of appropriation, and the unexpected balance. F. the implementation of the Appropriation Act for the current year, G. public debt and debt service, and H. reports and statements under the Fiscal Management Responsibility Act No. 3 of 2003. The composition of this committee, the membership comprises of a chair and 11 members nominated by the Committee of Selection, provided that the chair shall be a member of the opposition. The Committee on Ethics and Privileges. This committee examines every question of privilege that may be referred to it by Parliament on a motion moved and approved. On every question on privilege, the committee has to decide whether a breach of privileges has been committed, and if so, the nature of the breach, the circumstances leading to it, and the recommendations. It can also state the procedure to be followed in giving effect to such recommendations. The committee has the power to send for persons, documents, and other records and carry out all acts which are necessary for the fullest investigation of the matter referred to it. There are 10 members nominated to this committee by the Committee of Selection. Up next is the Committee on Public Petitions. This committee considers the petitions sent by the public and referred to it by Parliament, where the Committee on Public Petitions is of the view that any petition discloses an infringement of a fundamental right or any injustice by a public officer or an officer of a public corporation, local authority or other like institution, the Committee on Public Petitions may inquire into such a petition or refer such petition to the Parliamentary Commissioner for Administration, also known as the Ombudsman, to inquire and report. The committee has the power to summon and question any person and examine any paper, book, record or other document, and to have access to stores and property. On the composition of this committee, there are 15 members nominated by the Committee of Selection. Up next, the Committee on Constitutional Affairs. Now, all independent commissions established under the schedule of the Article 41B of the Constitution shall forward to Parliament a report of its activities, including exercise, performance, and discharge of its powers, duties, and functions for each calendar year. The committee shall consider the annual reports and shall have the power to summon the chairpersons, members, and officials of the Commission in the exercise of its duties. On the composition of this committee, the Speaker of Parliament is the Chair, the Prime Minister is a member, the Leader of the House of Parliament is a member, and the other members include the Leader of the Opposition in Parliament and 3 other members nominated by the Speaker. The Committee on High Posts. Now, this committee examines the suitability of any person who has been either appointed to any post or nominated to hold the post determined by the Cabinet of Ministers and to make recommendations regarding such persons. It has the power to summon and examine any paper, book, record or other document and to do all such acts which are necessary for the fullest investigation of the suitability of a person referred to the committee. This committee comprises of 12 members nominated by the Committee of Selection. Up next is the Liaison Committee. This is a committee appointed at the beginning of a new parliament. There is also a Backbencher Committee. Now, this committee determines the business to be taken up on days allotted for backbencher business. The Backbench Committee shall consist of the Chief Government Whip, the Chief Opposition Whip, 3 backbenchers from the government and 3 backbenchers from the opposition. The next form of committees is select committees. Now, these are ad hoc committees that may be appointed by the Speaker to look into matters referred to them by Parliament. These committees are defined by the terms of reference or TOR of the order under which they are appointed. These committees have the power to call for persons, papers and records. The appointments made to this committee, the Speaker appoints the chairman and the members. This committee generally has 12 members, but this number can increase with the permission of the House. Moving on to the sectoral oversight committees. These committees are established by resolution of Parliament within 6 weeks after its first sitting after a general election, and they function during the duration of Parliament. The maximum number of sectoral oversight committees is 20. These committees have the power to examine any bill, any subsidiary legislation, including regulations, resolutions, treaty, report, or any other matter relating to subjects and functions within their jurisdiction. On the appointments of this committee, any member of Parliament is eligible to be a member of the committee. However, the Speaker, the Deputy Speaker, the Deputy Chairperson of committees, the Prime Minister, the Leader of the House of Parliament, the Leader of the Opposition in Parliament, and the Ministers of Cabinet appointed under Article 43, Sub-Article 2 of the Constitution are not eligible to become members. The Committee of Selection nominates the members of these committees. Let's look at the American Congressional Committees now. In the United States of America, Congress developed the committee system to handle its consideration of various items of business that arise in its annual sessions. Each House of Congress, including the House of Representatives and the Senate, has a number of standing or permanent committees and select committees, which are special and temporary. Together, the 2 chambers of Congress form joint committees to consider subjects of common interest. Moreover, because no act of Congress is valid unless both houses approve an identical document, conference committees are formed to adjust disputed versions of legislation. We're now moving on to the departments under the Parliamentary Secretariat, which is also an important aspect that needs to be understood properly if parliamentary procedures are to be fully comprehended.